Hey everyone, I'm going to talk about hard drives for a couple of minutes and I'm going to switch between the two cameras in this thing. So the reason is I've come across this a million times and a lot of people who do tech shit like I do know this, but a lot of people who don't. There's this weird little thing where when you go to buy a hard drive, like say you just need to add extra storage to, I'm talking specifically about desktop hard drives, but it sometimes works with laptop ones. But if you need to get extra storage for your desktop computer, like maybe you have an SSD already, but you need more space with this, or you have one that's failing or failed and it needs to be replaced or whatever, with traditional 3.5-inch spinning hard drives like this, what you can see here, so for instance, this is a WD Blue 4 terabyte internal drive, and from Best Buy in the US, which the prices are different in different places, but this general trend exists everywhere, and it certainly does here in Turkey. You can see the price is 110 bucks. If you go to a RED, which RED are made for NAS drives, network attached storage drives, mostly, they have slightly different firmware. You can see the price is 104. Now if you look at an external one, the price is 95. But the interesting thing, and this is a 4 terabyte, it's probably a red or a blue inside. Now, the interesting thing is it's the same exact hard drive, or I shouldn't say that, it's typically the same hard drive on the inside, but you get the extra enclosure as well, which doesn't seem like it makes sense. Now there is one caveat. Some drives are made with shingled magnetic recording, some of these newer ones. These external drives, which run slower, but if you're just using it for storage and not using it to boot the computer, it really probably isn't going to matter, and it wouldn't matter for most people who are watching this video. Like, it's a little different if you're doing FreeBSD or Linux with ZFS, and if you know all of that, then you already know this and quit watching the channel. But if you're just looking for extra storage, a good way to do it is to buy one of these for $95 instead of one of these for $105 or $110, and get rid of the external enclosure, which I've got an example of an external enclosure here. This is actually a kit that you can buy to use as an external enclosure, but I'll explain that in a couple of minutes. Now one other caveat is it's different for these small, usually they'll call them portable hard drives. And these are the smaller ones that are only 2.5 inches in size. That's a bit different. Sometimes these will have a normal 2.5-inch drive on the inside, but sometimes they'll have a special PCB in there that will only accept USB. And so these might work, but don't always. So you should check the part number and check like Reddit or something, or read the reviews to see if it's a regular 2.5-inch drive in those smaller 2.5-inch laptop ones. But if it is a regular drive, you can use that as well. But usually that would go in a laptop. So I've had tons of times where I've bought these in particular. Usually I don't buy my book, I buy the Elements one, which I don't even know if they have it here anymore. Or maybe it's the Easy Store version. Yeah, I think Easy Store might have replaced Elements, but it's basically the same thing. This is 8 terabyte instead of 4, so that's why the price is higher. But I've bought a bunch of these and then taken the hard drive out of the enclosure, out of the plastic box physically, and inserted that into the computer for less money and gotten a good enough performance. Again, some of them are shingled magnetic recording, it's a little bit different, but if you're just using it for backup or for extra space or for like pictures or videos, it doesn't matter whatsoever. I use them in my server. And you save a few bucks, plus what you end up with is the enclosure and the parts from the enclosure. So at this point I'm going to switch over. Let me see if that worked. Yeah, good. So this is the actual hard drive, or a hard drive, that you would want to buy. And basically this, let me try and get it into frame here. This is the SATA interface that you'd be looking for. Basically this is for power, and this is for data. And when you buy it in an enclosure, you get the enclosure, you get some form of circuit board, and you get the drive itself. Now this one's a little bit different because I bought this enclosure without a drive in it, but it's the same basic idea as when you buy one from Western Digital or Seagate or whoever else. Now sometimes they're tough to open up, You'll have to use like a screwdriver or a credit card to get the plastic out of the way. But usually I'll just like stab the thing with a screwdriver and be careful not to stab the actual drive and just break the plastic open, because who cares? And what you end up with still, and this one is actually from a Western Digital external drive, you end up with, again, a form of circuit board with the power and with the data line, USB cord and power, so that you can still plug it into a drive and you can still use it this way. So like right there, I could just plug that into my computer and into the wall and still have an external. Or the other nice thing that works oftentimes is you can take your old drive out of your computer. Say you have a 2 terabyte drive in your computer. You want to replace it with a 4 terabyte. So you take the 4 terabyte out of the enclosure, rip the plastic off of it, put that into the computer, take the 2 terabyte and put it back into the plastic case with the circuit board. So now you have an external 2 terabyte, so you're not throwing away the old one that you're not using, but you get the increased capacity of the larger one that you just bought. And because they're SATA, they're just regular SATA interface, it works the same. You can swap one for the other. And it has something to do with the marketing. That is the reason that the price is that way. But basically the way to consider it is just a benefit to the consumer ultimately. Now again, with those smaller ones, with the 2.5 inch, usually they're called portable external drives. And you'll know it because, you can roughly see the size of that drive, I guess. I don't know, do I have something to compare it to? Okay, that's the size of the drive, right? If it's smaller than that, then it's a 2.5 inch one. And with some of those, again, they might not have the SATA interface. But still, a lot of them do have this regular SATA interface, but you should probably research it a bit. Now, the only other caveat is, on some of them, in the US at least, they'll use one of those Western Digital red drives, and they have a 3.3 volt thing. And the way to get around it is you can put a little piece of electric tape on one of the tabs. So if it doesn't power up, first off, test it before you take it out of the box. Anyways, before you take it out of the enclosure, test it and make sure it works. When you plug it into your computer, if it doesn't work, you can leave a comment below. There's a little electrical tape trick you can do to make it work, but you end up with a regular drive with more capacity than what you would have, assuming you're upgrading the size. Speed-wise, it's going to be either the same. If it's one of those shingled ones, it might be a little bit slower, but usually now people have at least some sort of SSD, a SATA SSD, or a PCI Express NVMe SSD, and then they just use this rotating storage as extra space. And so, buying it with one of these external enclosures is just a better way to do it. On my server, I have a 3 terabyte drive, 3 4 terabyte drives, and a 6 terabyte drives. And the 6 and the 3 4s, I know I bought all in enclosures like this. Ripped off the enclosures, so I've got at least 4 of these circuit boards laying around. I might have thrown out 1 or 2 because I don't even need that many of them. I don't use them that often. And I might have done that for the 3 terabyte as well, but it was so long ago I don't remember. So yeah, next time you're going to, if you ever need to increase your storage and you're looking to buy one of these desktop size drives, look at the cost of the external ones as well. Usually you can save money. Check the part number to make sure, check like Reddit or check the reviews, or search for that part number, the entire external drive part number, and then the word shucking, S-H-U-C-K. That's just sort of the term like shucking corn, but it's shucking the cases off of the drives. And if there are issues, somebody will comment that somewhere on some forum or whatever. But it's a good way to save a couple of bucks, get the same exact performance, and you end up with the circuitry that you can now take, like anytime you have an external drive, whether it's a small 2.5 inch or a large 3.5 inch one, you can plug it into there and you can access data from it. So I've had this happen a million times too, where somebody's come to me with a laptop that died, that they can't get into, and they have stuff on the hard drive they need to get off of it. And usually I'll use Linux and boot into it and copy it to my network, but if I'm going to change the drive anyways, I'll replace the drive, take the old one and plug it into this, and then plug the USB into that laptop and just transfer the contents right over it directly from there. So try that next time. And you can leave a question in the comment if you've got it or whatever, but saves money, it gets you the same thing, and it's a better way to do it, plus you get extra stuff. And I guess the idea is just that they can sell it at a better price because they're doing so much volume of the drives with the enclosures compared to the single drives, I guess. I don't really know. It still doesn't really make sense to me, honestly, even from a marketing standpoint. But whatever, you save 10, 20 bucks from doing it that way. So yeah, that's my tip for the day. So hope this helps somebody out. Enjoy.